Welcome. I bid you welcome, John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Gray, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world. Thanks to Jake Nutt from State Farm for the Johnny Metal, the Gray nickname part. Welcome to another edition of Album Track Ranking A through Z. And today is brought to you by the letter N. Now, I had a choice I was gonna do for this. But see, the whole scheme of this series is that I have a physical copy of it, whether it be CD or cassette or vinyl. And when I got to looking back there, I didn't have my choice I wanted to do. It was a totally different band I actually had some stories about, and I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to get a physical copy in quick enough to do this video. So I had to postpone doing what I was originally going to do. But I thought, I'm going to talk about a band that was actually named after a town that I grew up about, I'd say about 10, 15 miles away from. And that would be the home of Martin Guitars. And I'm talking about Nazareth, Pennsylvania. I'm talking about the band Nazareth. Now, story goes that the band was named after Nazareth, Pennsylvania, due to the reference in the band's song "The Wait." Came into Nazareth, and however that line goes, you in the comments can probably finish the line for me. Anyway, that's kind of where they got the name, not from the biblical Nazareth. But anyway, so this is a band that there are a couple of albums that I have seen and have been in my presence since I was a very little child. And Loud and Proud, their fourth album, would be one of them. And that's the one I'm going to talk about today. This one, probably a little bit more than their next album, Rampant, that would come out in 74. Um, Although I remember the cover quite clearly. But then and then it would be their following album, Hair of the Dog, that would really break them out. Um, but I thought, no, I'm going to go with a little different choice. I'm going to go with Loud and Proud. So, album produced by Roger Glover of Deep Purple, recorded throughout 1973. This would be released in November of 73. Uh, as I said, their fourth album, preceded by Razmanaz, was the album previous. This album seemed to do really well for them. It broke the UK up at 18 on the charts. Here in the States, didn't do quite as good. It only hit number 150 on the Billboard 200 charts. Austria, though, however, it did really well, went number one. This album would go platinum in Canada with about 100,000 sales, and gold in Sweden, which I believe is about 30,000. So this album had its places in amongst the um as far as how popular it was. So let's just take a look at the back cover here real quick. You probably saw this on the thumbnail. There you go with the classic band shot. There you got let's see, you got the mighty Dan McCafferty here on vocals with his wine-soaked and cigarette-stoked vocals. You got Pete Agnew here on on bass. You got Manny Charlton here on guitar, and Daryl Sweet on drums. Now, forgive me if I if I mixed these two up. This might actually be Pete, and that might be Daryl. But anyway, uh, y'all can fix me up on the comments on that one. I probably just got a little bit backwards there. So this album has uh, eight songs, three covers. Now we all know Nazareth seem to do pretty well with covers. Probably their most well-known song is, of course, their version of Love Hurts, which just, you hear everywhere. All right. So, do they do covers well on this album? Or maybe not so much? let's get into it. So my number eight track is actually going to be one of the ballads, and it's the last album. It's the last song of the track called "The Ballad of Hollis Brown." This is a 9 minute and 12 second epic of a Bob Dylan song. I'm not a Bob Dylan guy, so sadly, I've not listened to the original version of this. But 9 minutes and 12 seconds long. I felt like this was trying to be Led Zeppelin's When the Levee Breaks. There's just this same kind of plotting rhythm and beat throughout the entire song, and it really doesn't change up a whole lot. Yes, you do get some good guitar work here from Manny, but 9 minutes and 12 seconds long, this didn't work for me. The epic on Hair of the Dog, Please Don't Judas Me. Now that worked. There was something different about that song. Maybe it was just Dan's just sinister vocal on that song, but this was just so kind of mired in fuzz and a lot of different stuff there. So really, I don't know, wasn't really doing anything for me. Like I said, I felt like they were trying to do their own version of When the Levee Breaks here. So that really didn't do much for me. So that's going to come in at the bottom. Number seven, um, is going to be the fourth track on the album, the fourth track on side A, and this would be another cover. And this would be Teenage Nervous Breakdown. This would be a cover of a song by Little Feat that was on their second album, Sailing Shoes. And yeah, I even consulted my good friend John the Music Nut and on this one because I was like, did, were you aware that Nazareth did a Little Feat song? And he, yeah. Um, The Little Feat version is about 2 minutes and 13 seconds long. It's really, really a fast song, very fast, kind of a boogie woogie, honky tonk, bluesy kind of song. It's just really a really well done song, very good song. Nazareth, on the other hand, hmm, yeah, they just kind of turn it into a slower rock and roll song, and yeah, it just didn't work for me. Yeah, it didn't work for me, and it didn't work for John the Music Nut either. So thank you for your input on that, John. I appreciate that. Um, Number six is going to be the third song on side A. It's called Turn on Your Receiver. Not a bad song. I don't know. There's just some studio effects going on in here that just kind of distracts a little bit. And it just doesn't, it's okay. It's not a bad song. Um, the next one is going to be the side A closer, track number five called Freewheeler. This one, you kind of get a little bit of a, I don't know, almost wants to, it's a little early for Foghat. They were just starting to come out a little bit, but it kind of has that maybe almost a Savoy Brown, but yeah, kind of a Rolling Stones, Beatles influence, a lot of that kind of stuff there. But still a really good track. I like this one quite a bit. Um, Number four is going to be the opening song on side one, Go Down Fighting. I thought this was a good rocker of a song. Again, you still have that kind of maybe Stones influence, maybe some other influences coming in from Europe and England, maybe even a little Alex Harvey, I don't know. But this was a strong opening song. The next one's going to be the second track on side one, Not Faking It. I also thought this was a, I thought this was a good chugger of a song. I liked what there was going on with the vocals and just the melody of everything here. Um, the Number two song is going to be kind of a ballad of sorts. This would be the number seven track or the second song on side two, called "Child in the Sun." I liked a lot of the vocal melodies in this one. There's a lot of harmonies going on here, and you have those really gruff voices like Dan and everybody, and how they just really melded them together in this kind of a, not, I would say a tender ballad, but a slower ballad song. And it's a really nice song. You get some nice a cappella points in here that I think work well. Now, What's the top one? Well, that's going to be the side two opener. The song that Joni Mitchell wrote that she would do in concerts and say, and I'd like to do a Nazareth song for you right now. The song's called This Flight Tonight. Probably the best recorded song on this album, in my opinion. This has just a galloping, chugging rhythm that is totally different from the original by Joni Mitchell. It was on the Blue album. Um, you get a nice little rock and roll breakdown with a little 12 bar kind of thing going on. I just think this song just screams emotion, it screams urgency. It was an enduring song for Nazareth. They really, this was like one of their, well, another one of their well-known songs. I think this is probably the best song on this album. It's probably been my favorite song on this album since day one. And it's just a classic. So there you go. So like, share, subscribe. You know all the lingo. What do we think about this particular album by Nazareth? Are you even familiar with it? Maybe you only know Hair of the Dog. Maybe you know some of the later stuff. I don't know. Nazareth has quite a discography. Um, is it worth going into? Well, I don't know about all that. I'm not that familiar with it, so I will let the diehard Nazareth fans um, sink their teeth into this one. And hopefully I won't go messing around with them too much. Anyway, next week is going to be brought to you by the letter O. Now, I'm sure there's going to be an easy, low-hanging fruit softball choice for this one. Is that what I'm going to go with? Or am I going to go with maybe something a little bit more obscure, but still something that means deep to me? Tune in next week and we'll find out. John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Gray, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world, saying rock forever, y'all. Go listen to some Nazareth. We'll see you next week. Take care.